People don't give a fuck what you say. A lot of people do not understand this. They care about what you do. All of a sudden, you second guess so many obstacles in my path. You don't think that you gonna make it? Seems like there's something standing in my way. Keep relying on it. Could change the entire trajectory of baseline life. You the baseline. The moment that they see you not display the things that you preach, it don't fucking matter. You feel me? Okay, so they don't, because my biggest fear is that they check, I'm gonna show up to the Amex lounge, you know what I mean? And as I'm in the Amex lounge, they gonna pull up my balance. Pull up my balance and they let me know that I can't be in here because I got
sir, you gotta get out.
Balance. Sir, why the fuck were you in this?
No,
like,
dude.
Sir, why the fuck are you in this line? You know what I mean? Like,
you got to get out there with the peasants.
Fear. So I always, every time we travel, I always go to the USO.
Oh no, we got to upgrade you, bro.
You know,
you got to get out of that. And that's what I was doing for a long time.
For real?
There was a USO, and then I haven't had it for long. Like 6 or 8 months ago, I got the little Amex card. Because the people I travel with, they're like, "Yeah, dude, you gotta get the Amex." And I was like, "What's the hype?" He's like, "One, obviously, service members get it for free, so that was a plus." Mm-hmm. But yeah, when I just recently flew from San Diego back here, my flight didn't leave till like 1500, but I got there at like 12. Yeah, I went straight to the Amex, or it's like the Centurion Lounge or something like that. All they check is your itinerary and your make sure you have the card. Okay. That's it.
That's not bad at all.
Nope.
Fucking. Now, I will tell you, because I usually go to the USO, but I am going to start going to the Amex lounge.
Yeah, you got to kind of check it too, because some people that travel a lot, they have it down to a science, and they will they go on their DTS, and they will legitimately make sure like their connecting flights have like Amex lounges, or they have your Centurion lounge. So like, there's a smart way to do it. I mean, I wouldn't say you're gaming the game, but you're kind of finessing it a little bit. But
look, man, if Amex didn't want me in that lounge, they wouldn't have sent me that card.
That's it.
There it is, right there. If they didn't want me in the lounge, they wouldn't have sent me the card.
Yeah,
and
it's clutch.
And if they didn't want, and once again, if they didn't want me to spend it, they wouldn't have sent me the card to begin with. Mm-hmm. You know?
Yeah.
I had to keep that card from Sandra, though.
Yeah, I need to keep it away from myself, dude. It's a slippery slope. You start using that bad boy, and next thing you know, you get a bill in the mail, and you're like, God.
Man. But with that being said, what's going on, everybody? It's that ordinary podcaster with the extraordinary thoughts that tells you to stop being great and be extraordinary. I'm your host, Demetrius Thickfan, also known as Meech Speaks, and welcome back to another episode of the Meech Speaks podcast. Now, before we get started with this podcast, don't forget to head on over to your favorite streaming platform, whether that's Apple Podcasts or Spotify Podcasts, and leave this podcast an honest review, because this podcast deserves to grow just as much as we do. Now, today's guest, I promise you, man. See, the thing about today's guest, all right, and what's so weird about today's guest is that normally I feel like I have to give like this grand intro when I'm introducing the guest, and I don't mind doing that. I really don't mind doing that. But this ain't even a grand intro. This is honestly just a history lesson, because I know for a fact at one point we was fighting together in the Crusades. I know that for a fact. I know for a fact that we was killing Nazis in World War II. I know that for a fact. You see what I'm saying? Like, if you looked at the history books, you would see me and this man standing side by side. Today's guest is not just a friend. This is my brother right here. You see what I'm saying? Like, this is my brother. I have trained with this man. My sons, my sons refer to him as an uncle. You know, one of the highest episodes that I've ever had on this entire podcast is with this gentleman right here. All right. He has served as the lead instructor, Martial Arts Fitness Center of Excellence for the Martial Arts Instructor Trainer course. He has served as the chief instructor for the Martial Arts Instructor Trainer course. And now he currently is working over at Human Performance. Ladies and gentlemen, please give it up for Gunnery Sergeant Lexus Schaeffer.
I appreciate it, man. You make me sound probably a lot cooler than I actually am. But
bro,
the work, the build up is pretty good.
Bro, I tell you, man, like, Cause I was sitting back and I was thinking, I was like, damn, man, like, how the hell am I gonna introduce Schaefer? You feel me? And I'm thinking like, I would introduce Schaefer like I would introduce him to anybody else. Like that's my brother. Like, that's my friend. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, y'all gotta know, like, Schaefer big deal. Don't get me wrong, Schaefer a big deal. But this ain't even just a guess. This family right here.
Yeah, it almost starts like when you start to lead up to that. I feel like my heart rate starts increasing higher, like I'm walking through like the octagon or something.
But to switch gears, bro, man, like, as we sit back and we talk about the halftime show, we talk about just understanding not just cultures, but accepting people for it. You know, I think one of the biggest things that teaches me a lot about that is just fatherhood in general.
Oh yeah.
You know, Now, I gotta tell you, did I tell you the story about what happened with Connor?
Nope. Let's hear it.
Man. All right, management might not be happy about this. Management might not be too happy about this. All right, so Connor. All right, now you know that me and Connor have been side by side with each other, right? Like, we've been side by side with each other. Connor and me have a different bond than all my other kids. You feel me?
Yeah.
Me, Connor and me, I can wholeheartedly say that. And when I say that, you know, and this is for every dad, you know, I'm not saying that because Connor's my favorite. I'm just saying it because Connor spends the most time with me. Naturally, he just has a different bond than Dakota will or Will Charlotte will. Me and Connor have a completely different bond. Yeah. And we have a different conversation about different things. We train together. You feel me? We train together. Mm-hmm. And kids come home from school. Coda come up to me saying, like, Connor got into it. I'm like this. Oh my God, what did Connor get into it about? Mm-hmm. Connor come up in there and he talking about, like, yeah, you know, I got into it with this kid. And I'm like, let me hear the story. So Coda has to tell me one piece of the story before Connor can tell me what happened next. So apparently, I guess, like, the kids, they in school and Coda and Connor are standing in the cafeteria. The teacher told Connor to go sit down. So Connor's going to go sit down. The other kid, him and Connor, they don't like each other. Him and Connor don't like each other. They've been beefed out for a good minute. Yeah. They've been beefed out for a good minute. And I'm like this, like, all right, man, like, okay, what happens next? So the kid tells Connor, he's like this, hey, man, like, go sit down like a good boy. Apparently, Connor ain't here. Connor ain't here, but Dakota did. All right, my oldest heard it. And I was just like this, oh my God. So she go over there, she tell Connor, she like, hey, man, like, did you hear what that kid said to you? Now, Connor was like this, all right, I bet I'll deal with it. I'm going to deal with it. Needless to say, recess rolls right on up. And I got to give it, you know, because I don't know. I want to stop for a second because there's some things that he does that I know for a fact that I wouldn't have done as a child. You feel me? And I think, like, one of the biggest pieces about fatherhood is seeing aspects about yourself that you were like, fuck, dude, like, I'm embodying, like, I'm giving you the keys to be able to do that, if that makes sense. Like, I'm setting you up to be able to do the things that I wish I would have been able to do as a kid. 100%. You feel me? Because I know for a fact that I would have been scared. I would have been nervous. I wouldn't have addressed it like how Connor would. You feel me? So Connor goes up to the kid and he's like, hey, man, like, what did you say? The kid was like, I told you to go sit down like a good boy. So now they going back and forth. They going back and forth. And I'm talking about they in the middle of the recess going back and forth. You feel me? The security guard, he sees them. He comes over there. He sees them. He comes over there. And he's like, hey, boys, y'all need to break this up. The vice principal also sees this. She's like, hey, what's going on? So they pull him off to the side. You feel me? They pull him off to the side. And I'm like, all right, man. Like, so it probably ended right there. No, they kept going back and forth because kind of trying to get this straightening out. He's trying to get this straightening out. Got to. You feel me? Got to. Because apparently he's been having issues with this kid for a minute. So now the security guard says, all right, Connor, you need to apologize. Connor's like, I ain't apologize. I ain't do anything. I ain't started. He's like, all right, well, so-and-so, you need to apologize because of what you said to Connor. And the kid told Connor, he was like this, he's like, I'm not apologizing to Connor. I don't even like Connor. Connor looked him dead in the face and he was like this, suck my dick, bitch ass. And ooh, yeah. Oh yeah. God. But yeah, he said that. He said that. Now, mind you, all right, me and Connor have a different conversation. We have a different role. Our relationship is a little bit different. He's heard me talk like this.
Hey, he learned it from somebody.
And this is the piece right here where we think about like fatherhood, we think about leadership, because in that moment, all right, I'm faced with two things. You know what I mean? Do I get on Connor about the language that he uses, or do I praise Connor for standing up for himself? You feel me? And it comes back to that moment of like, you know, you praise in public, you know, you punish in silence type thing. And I remember pulling Connor, I told Connor, I said, hey, was that the best timing? Okay. No, that probably wasn't the best timing to use that. However, son, your fucking execution was flawless. Hey, execution was flawless though. You know, and I can't get mad at him for that, bro. Like his execution was flawless. And that's the piece right there where I had to take a step back and I had to just say like, damn, man, like I'm setting my son up to be somebody that he can actually, that isn't afraid to speak his mind. You know what I mean? He ain't afraid to speak his mind. But two, he's also not afraid to stand up for himself. And, you know, people will sit back and they'll talk about like, oh, well, you know, I'm trying to break generational curses, or I'm trying to, you know, do better than what I got. And it's like, man, you got to do that leg work right now. You feel me? You got to enable your kids to be able to do that right now. You also got to set the example for your kids to be able to emulate.
100%. I hope I remember that, because that quote, I hope we can circle back to that. The praise in public, correct in private. That's a good one. We could expand on that for most Marines don't even know what that means, but in my opinion, but that whole situation scenario kind of makes me happy, because it almost feels like America is healing again when you hear a situation like that. And it's like, okay, bullying, it's always going to happen. Some would even say bullying's okay, because without bullying, you don't have people standing up for themselves. Now, if I was in that situation, I'm going to side with you regardless. But yeah, I'm going to side with Connor too, because it's like, hey man, you stood up for yourself. We could probably change up some verbiage, you know, clean some things up a bit.
You know what I mean? Understand your environment. You know.
Yeah. You got to understand the environment. I'm going to talk to my squad of Marines, you know, over a terrain model a little bit differently than I'm briefing a confirmation brief. You know, they got to articulate it a little bit differently. We'll figure this out. Yeah. I'm rocking with Connor on this one. That's the same, like, dude, when my daughters are coming in, which, you know, them, like, my oldest, she'll figure some stuff out herself. We'd boxed a little bit before and held some pads. But my middle child, dude, she'll come in all the time. Like, oh, you know, so-and-so is throwing snow on me, or so-and-so pushed me or whatever. And I kind of look at her sometimes, I'm like, well, are you expecting me or your mom to go out there and beat up some little kid? Or like, what are you trying to get from this? So I'll tell her, like, you need to go, you know, I'm like, what's the expectation here? I'm like, you need to go figure that out. And then I'll ask him, like,
you want me to go out there and get some straightening?
Yeah. I mean, I'll straighten the parents out, but this little 5-year-old, 7-year-old kid, like, that's on you. So you know how to throw punches, check. You know, some basic, you know, takedowns, check. You can probably figure this out. Let's try to, you know, use our words before we result to that, of course. But
come on now, yeah.
I'm like, you need to go figure that out, and don't come back inside this house until that's all ironed up.
You see what I'm saying? And I think that piece right there, bro, is, I think one of the greatest things that we did as fathers and just as parents is give our kids the tools to be able to defend themselves. You feel me? Yeah. I think that was one of the greatest gifts that we could give our kids, because it's not just a immediate. It's not like giving them a toy or giving them an iPad or giving them a PlayStation, something that they could play in the now. That's something that will actually carry on later throughout their entire lives. You feel me? Like, it will carry on 100%. Throughout their entire lives. And I know for a fact, Connor wouldn't have said that to that kid. You see what I'm saying? He would never have said that to that kid if he didn't have the tools to fall back on. You know, if the kid would, because what he would have did if the kid would have said, what did you just say to me? You know, and it's in moments like that where Connor already knew in the back of his head, he was like, look, man, I'm going to say exactly what I need to say, because I know if you decide to do whatever you want to do, I can handle myself. And I also know that because he has that, that's going to go on later on down his life. You feel me? Especially if he sticks with it. Because we've seen people, especially just in the military, that people who are used to somebody else stepping in and standing up for them versus actually standing up for themselves.
Yeah. Now I will tell you, there was one time here. This is a funny story. This is actually recently where I actually got involved. Because you know me, if it's a Saturday, I'm watch football season still kicking off. I'm watching college football. I'm watching Auburn get their butt whooped, unfortunately. And my kids come in, they're like, Dad, Dad. And I'm like, what? And they're like, some kid, just came up and threw like in our neighborhood, same neighborhood you used to live in, there's like little, dog post to where you put your little dog poop bag or whatever. She's like, yeah, a kid went there and took one of those bags and threw it at it. Didn't hit him, right? Didn't hit him. And I'm like, excuse me? And they're like, yeah, they were throwing these bags at us. And I was like, hold the F up, So I get out of my chair and my wife's like, Lex, don't do anything crazy. I walk around. I'm like, where'd they go? They went out in the woods. So now you got me. So I've been watching college football all day. So of course I'm, 5, 6 beers in.
I hear
now I'm looking for now I'm looking for some kids. and I'm like, which way did they go? And, my oldest like, they went that way. So now I'm walking around the neighborhood looking at these 2 kids. And then my neighbor texts me. He's like, hey man, have you heard about these kids? So now it's all these parents looking for these phantom poop throwers.
Phantom poop throwers.
But now I'm pissed because now my kids are involved. And all I see is these 2 little boys running towards me. And clearly like they just had this look on their face that I've been caught. So you got like, if you can picture, on this side, on the road side closest to me, it's a bunch of parents, kids, and I'm on the other side of the road, and these two little boys are running towards me, and I'm like, hey, and they stop in their tracks, and I'm like, hey, are you the kids throwing poop? And they're like, oh, sir, we're so sorry. One of them starts crying. This whole ordeal, and all the parents, like, we were all talking or whatever. I'm like, somebody needs to, probably clean this up as far as, having to talk with their kids.
100%. I'm a firm believer that I tell their mother this all the time. I'm like, I'm hard on the kids because I know the world ain't gonna be hard on. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I hold them accountable because I would rather me hold them accountable than for somebody else to hold them accountable. And when you 100%. Always look at any time, like when you see a kid acting out, or when you see a badass kid, I'll be completely honest with you. It makes me ask, like, what's going on over on your side of the house? You feel me? Like, what is going on your side of the house where you think that when you come out here, you gonna be able to do that?
I firmly agree. I was actually having a conversation with someone about 2 weeks ago, to where most of the problems, not all problems, right? Because there are some like psychological and there are some things, that you have to consider. But, and that's just coming from, I don't have no degree in that type of stuff, but it's just implied. Like everyone knows it. Like there's untangible stuff that relates. But the one common factor I believe in all of it is parents. To where like, if I look at someone that is just consistently, causing trouble, causing mayhem, doing things they shouldn't be doing, and then I look at like their parents, most times there is a direct connection with it. And maybe it's, something hereditary or, genetics. Maybe it's abuse, or all these different avenues open up when you start talking about that stuff. But it's definitely a parent thing for sure. Like anyone I know that I've served with in the military that I've become very close friends with, whether it's Dylan, Morales, Austin Dunk, all those dudes have good kids. They also train consistently and beat each other up regularly. They're also respectable and they have manners and all this other stuff. And you look at their kids and you're like, dude, your kids are awesome. Like, so
I didn't
definitely correlation.
Put them together. I didn't even put that correlation together.
Yeah.
Now, can I ask you a question? When it's time for parent teachers conference, do you go do you go with your wife or does your wife just go?
I mean, it kind of depends. Like if with this new job that I have, which, like I'm going at least once per month for sure, at least 1 week at a time. So if I'm here, of course I'll go. If I'm not here, then she'll go by herself. But when I was on the Mass C staff and we had a course on deck, she would probably just go or whatever. But yeah, 99% of the time, if I have a say in it, then we'll both go.
100%.
And the on-base schooling, they don't really have. I think we've only went to 2 of them this year.
Right.
So they don't really have them much. but I can tell you, the last one that we went to, we all know how this works with parents and teacher conference and stuff like that. We go in there, you're talking to the teacher, and the teacher's telling you like, yeah, your kid's doing well in these areas, but there's these other areas, and then as a dad, you immediately like snap your head at them, and you're like, okay, so you've been gaffing off in class or doing whatever. And luckily, there wasn't too much of that last time, but there was like a 5-minute conversation that the teacher had with us, with the kids right there. Like, yeah, she likes to gaff off every now and then, and she likes to joke around and not pay attention. I'm like, all right, tight. That's all right. We'll talk about this later. Mm-hmm. So go ahead and let me have those tablets. Yep. That TV, that's mine.
Hey, I don't even just go ahead, pull your book bag out, head to the table. Yeah. Whatever homework you got, go ahead and start doing that.
That. I've even got, dude, me and my wife, we even went to where did we go? Went to Barnes and Noble, and Barnes and Noble has a whole like section of like kids, school workbooks. It's like additional homework and stuff like that. I bought like 4 of those bad boys. Mm-hmm. And I was like, y'all about to start working on this stuff. 1, you're already grounded. 2, you need some extra work in reading and math, so go ahead and start knocking these out.
I've already briefed my guys. I'm like, I already briefed my kids. I already told them, I was like, look, man, I hope y'all don't got plans for the summer because you need to read more. You need to work on your math. Yeah. So just know that at least 3 hours out of this day, that's going to be happening. All right. Like, so y'all can be able to figure that out between yourselves. But I bring that up, man, because recently I went to parent teacher conference and I was explaining to their mother. I was like, look, man, like, cause she was like, you don't need to go. And I was like, it's not that I don't need to go. It's the fact that the school needs to see that our kids have 2 parents in that household.
Yeah.
And not only do they need to see that they have 2 parents in the household, they also need to see that 2 parents are working together in that household.
Yep.
That's the biggest piece right there. You can tell a lot about what's going on in a kid's household just by just seeing their parents. You feel me? 100%. Especially when you go to like a parent teacher conference, to see the dynamic between the mother and the father, you can see exactly how the kid is. Now I ain't gonna say my kids are angels, but I know for a fact that they come from an environment with structure in it, and they come from a loving environment, Yeah. And I remember sitting in that dang on office, bro. I remember sitting in there. My girls, every time I go, my girls always good. Always good. When I go to that motherfucker's parent teachers conference, I already know to expect the worst. I already expect grades. Every time they always lead with, he's gotten better. And I'm like, what do you mean he's gotten better? They not talking about his academics at all, Schaeffer. Like, they not talking about his academics. All right. They talking about the stuff that he be doing. And I had to look, I was like, bro, like, where's your seat at? Because I see everybody else's seats. Where's yours at? He pointed to the front. I said, you a bad? I was like, you one of those kids? He was like, what do you mean? I was like, that's where the bad kids sit. He's like, I wouldn't say I'm bad. I just, I'm like, yeah, just go ahead and just bring that PlayStation right on back down the stairs, big dog.
Yep, that's mine now.
Just bring that on downstairs. I don't even know why your mama got you that tablet. You might as well just bring that back downstairs too, man, because you need to get it together. You need to get it together.
And it's just full circle, because not knowing that Demetrius Thickman was probably at the front of the class too.
Oh, 100%. With homework in my desk. With homework in my desk too. The same homework that my mama had stayed up all night helping me with. I just put it in my desk and forgot it was there. Yeah. Put it in my desk. Now she wondering why I'm missing so many homework assignments, and she do homework with me.
Yeah. That's another situation I think is beautiful, because it's like, he's just being a young man, dude. He ain't got 100% effort in school, just like all of us did at some point. He's athletic. He likes to fight. He likes to train, likes to hang out with his dad. So he's checking all the boxes as a perfectly normal young dude. Mm-hmm. Which I think, like, most parents be like, oh, what's wrong with my kid? The teacher put him at the front of the class. I'm like, no, like, we'll adjust some stuff, like some minor stuff. Adjust? Yeah, he's all right.
And I feel like that's the piece right there, bro. And I knew when you came on that this was going to be a solid fatherhood episode. You know what I mean? Because of the simple fact that seeing my kids lets me know that I'm doing something right. You feel me? And I feel like a lot of parents, like, they beat themselves up about what they could do better. They beat themselves up on the things that they feel like they're doing wrong. But when you really take a step back and just look at your kid, you realize the things that you're really doing right. You feel me?
Oh yeah.
Because right now I got kids that will stand up not only for themselves, but they gonna stand up for other people. You feel me?
I understand.
Like, Coda's problems come from not standing up for her. It's not about herself. It's for her speaking up for somebody else that didn't speak up. Coda known for doing stuff like that. And when you hear that, you switch gears. That's leadership abilities right there.
100%. Yeah.
Them leadership qualities. You know, Connor being able to stand up for himself, I know that later on down the line, he's going to stand up for himself when he's faced with some type of adversity. And as we switch gears from parenthood into just leadership in general, when you look at people, like, as far as, like, when we talk about, like, good leaders, bad leaders, good Marines, bad Marines, it really comes back down to just you as a kid. You know, did you stand up for yourself? You know, or did you have other people have to stand up for you? You feel me? Did somebody enable you to grow, or did you have to learn how to grow here? And it really shows in this, or it shows once you get into a leadership position.
No, I totally agree. Like, I feel like this could go down a bunch of different, like, little segues or rabbit holes or tangents or whatever. But I think I've talked to you about this plenty of times and plenty of other people. I feel like my entire leadership changed once I was a father, because then it opened up all these other doors that I never knew were there. Like, Corporal Schaeffer without kids was a completely different person
100%.
than Corporal Schaeffer with kids. Obviously, still holding people accountable and upholding the standard and PT, doing all the right things that, Corporal should do. But, like, once I understood that, these Marines or soldiers in the Army or whatever, these dudes and dudettes, that I'm leading are also someone's kid, is also someone's niece, is also someone's nephew, is also someone's grandkid. That completely changed my leadership style, because then I had to understand that I'm entrusted with this person's kids, so it's my responsibility to ensure that, one, they're trained hard, so they can also take the fight to the enemy and do their job, and reassemble this machine gun and a certain time, all these other things, so they can return to their parents or return to their grandparents or uncles and nieces, for the holidays or whatever. So, like, once I understood that, it almost, some would argue, you'd be like, Shay, it sounds kind of soft, but on the other side of that, I'm like, that's the complete opposite. Because once I started figuring that portion of it out, that's like when I started really, like, putting the gas, like, pedal to the metals. Like, I have to make sure that I train you tough, realistically, with hard scenarios, with, tough, realistic training. Because if I don't, I'm doing your parents a disservice, because all these other things. Then the light switch clicked, and I'm like, oh, cool. Now we're rocking and rolling.
I like that one right there. I like that one right there.
Yeah.
I would say for me, bro, parenthood made me more empathetic towards Marines. You feel me? Yeah. Especially Marines with kids. You see what I'm saying? Like, it made me a lot more empathetic. Now, granted, and then it also made me empathetic towards the fact of, just like how you said it, like, like, this is someone's son, this is someone's daughter, this is somebody who entrusted the recruiter man to do right by their kid, send them off to boot camp. This kid finally finds his way into me, so I owe this kid's parent at least that much to train him to the best of my ability. You feel me? But to switch gears, like, the moment that I became a sergeant, the moment that I became a staff sergeant, I started looking at it from the perspective of, damn, man, I got to go to this appointment. Well, I mean, if I got to go to an appointment, I know fucking Lance Corporal so-and-so got an appointment. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, I know Corporal so-and-so, his son got this going on. I know that Sergeant so-and-so got this going on. You feel me? And it would really, I remember being a Junior Marine and getting irritated when somebody would say, like, oh yeah, I got to go here because, I got this going on with my kid. And I'm like, all right, well, congratulations. You feel me? But what will really make me, you feel me? Like, I'm like this, okay, you got to go to a fucking appointment because you decided to procreate. You feel me? But it made me realize that, especially once I got into a leadership position and I could do that without having to be questioned by like 3 different chain of commands, three different rank structures. It really made me question, like, okay, like, if I can do that, then I need to be able to allow my Marine to be able to take care of that. You feel me?
Yeah.
Y'all allowed me to be able to go to this appointment with my wife for her pregnancy. I need to allow my corporal to be able to do the exact same thing. And that was one of my biggest things that I always told people. I'm like this, like your Marine ain't the only, you ain't the only, your Marine got a family too. There it is right there.
Yeah.
You feel me? Ain't nothing worse than a leader. You like, hey, I got to get out of here because I got to pick the kids up from school. What the fuck do you think that guy got to go do?
Yeah.
What the fuck do you think he got to go do?
I will say there's a balance that you have to like be able to read between the lines, because if oh man, I could talk in this too, but it's like if the platoon or the company or the battalion is going on a 9-mile hike tomorrow, and tomorrow morning you show up and you're like, hey, Gunny, forgot to tell you, I got to go do this thing. Like, there's probably some red flags here.
You see what I'm saying? Yes.
So yes, I agree with the first point for sure, but there are Marines out there, or not even Marines, soldiers, people in general, that will use it to their benefit. Hell out of this program. That will finesse the system. Be like, hey, I know we were supposed to go to the field. I know I'm a team leader, and I know I'm an asset to the platoon, but I got to go to dental tomorrow morning. It just so happens it's right before the truck leaves for the field.
Now, how do we ask about balance? Because that's a good, bro. That's real. You see what I'm saying? Because what you just said right there is real. And man, when I tell you, we could go down a rabbit hole on that because of the simple fact that, is it the right thing to do? 100%, bro. 100%. But we also, I was born at night, but I wasn't born last night. You feel me? I was born at night, but I wasn't born last night. And I know that there's some people, especially Marines, just somebody in general that is presented with this opportunity. We know for a fact they're going to take advantage of that.
100%.
But human beings been taking advantage and finessing programs since the dawn of time. You feel me?
Dude.
If they didn't, we'll still be in Eden right now. We'll still be in Eden. So how is it as a leader do I find that balance where I'm like this? All right, now, like I get where you're coming from, but at the same time, like, no, dude, like we got a fucking job that we got to go take care
of. I think it's kind of a tough nut to crack in certain situations, but at the end of the day, like, I kind of equate it back or kind of go back to my time at 113-6. Like if we're going to the field, the schoolhouse, you're not going to deal much with it.
Yeah.
Because you're provided a little bit of flexibility. Hey, I have another instructor that can cover down this thing, and you're a tighter, smaller cadre, and blah, 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 blah. But in a unit that we are preparing to go to war, no matter what MOS you are, everyone's preparing for the same thing. And everyone generally is going to know the workup, know when the field ops are, know when we're leaving, know when we're coming back, to a certain degree. As long as you can understand that as a leader, is like, hey, this is genuine. I know this Marine has been going through these things, but Jones just came up to me the morning of our departure. So that you're going to have to piece those together. There's balance, sure, but it's also as a leader understanding like who's like full of it and who isn't full of it.
Yeah.
But then you also have to be the guy, the leader that is affording those opportunities to the Marine if they are actually needing to, hey, I'm not going they shouldn't go to the field today, but they're going to come out late or they might even miss this whole field op for these reasons. Mm-hmm. But like I said, you definitely have to have the ability to see through the BS and be like, no, you're full of it. Get in the truck.
Now, and I will also say that discernment, bro, that's a two-way street. That just isn't something that you use at work. That's something that you also got to apply at home. I remember because me and you, we talked about this. We talked about this similar conversation on the last episode, and somebody had commented on it. And this is really what sparked it for me because he was like, I draw the line when it comes down to my family. And I was like this, well, I mean, your Lance Corporal got a fucking family too, bro.
No, I've seen that.
Lance Corporal. You know what I'm talking about? That one kind of didn't sit right with me because it came from such this selfish space. It came from such this selfish space where it's just like, bro, like you want the organization to bend over backwards for you and your fucking family, but you're not prepared to bend over backward. You're not even prepared to slightly bend for yours. You feel me? And I say that discernment comes from, I can't tell you that how many times Sandra would drop something on me last minute and I'll look Sandy in the face like this. Hey, I can't go. I don't know what to tell you. If it was really that important, you would have, because that's the exact same thing that I would have gave Lance Corporal Thigpen. You get where I'm going? Yeah. That's the same thing that I would have gave Corporal Thigpen. You coming up to me with some last minute shit, and now it's supposed to be an emergency for me? I can't tell you how many times me and Sandy done went back and forth, and I'm looking at her like this, like, look, man, like, if it was truly that important, you should have reminded me more than once. You can't just remind me something, go 3 weeks, and then drop it on me. I don't know what to tell you. I'm about to go to work. I'm about to go to work.
Good. Yeah. Yeah. I think my balance kind of changed a little bit. Like that's a perfect bring up, because me which my wife will tell you, any of my close friends, at least like in my first 2 enlistments, they'll tell you the same thing. To where anything like Marine Corps related, the Marines always came first. Which now it's like you talk to senior leaders and you're like, oh, take care of your family first, which I got it, right? But at the same time, like I've always been under the impression, and I still believe to this day, like my Marines preparedness should come first, because if they're not prepared, then I might not be coming back to whoever the person is I'm laying in bed next to, my wife. But then, yeah. So
Say that sentence again.
I was just saying that my Marine preparedness always comes first, because their lack of preparedness might prevent me from coming home to the missus. Which then goes into I think the second conversation we have, like making sure they're prepared, lethality, and all the cliche words. But I've always believed that. But then as you get older, as a staff NCO, gunnery sergeant, captain, major, now you have a little bit more flexibility to now pay it back to your family and your kids. Like, hey, I'm going to be, making some more appointments, or I'm going to be able to take you out more, because now that's what happens with leadership, or really that's what happens with senior billets, is you're not as required to devote 100% of your time to the Marines. That's not meaning like, hey, I skin out of stuff for sure, but now you're in the position to where you can kind of pay it back to your kids. So that's a big portion of balance that I think that I've seen recently, to where now we can go to Busch Gardens. Now we can go to King's Dominion a few more times. Now we can go out to eat a few more times. I can, check you out of school a little early, go get some ice cream or whatever the thing is. Whereas like as a corporal sergeant, it was none of that.
When you say that right there, that preparation, like setting my Marines up will allow them, like, if I don't set my Marines up, I may not even come home. You know what I mean?
That's a real thing.
Really, that perspective, I've added that into my leadership, because it goes back into what it means to truly take care of a Marine. You feel me?
Yeah.
Well, motherfuckers here taking care of Marines, they think let the Marines go home early. You feel me?
Yeah.
When they say like taking care of Marines, hey, release them early for child, or don't come back after work, or hey guys, we don't got to do field day. You feel me? No. Those are great. That's some low hanging fruit. There it is right there. That is some low hanging fruit. Hey, I'm gonna take care of the guys. Hey guys, y'all can go home early. You know what I mean? That's low hanging fruit. Really taking care of your guys is setting them up for success. You see what I'm saying? Like really taking care of your guys is setting them up. So if you weren't even there, shit would run smoothly. If they got pulled and put into a leadership position right now, they would be able to just immediately switch into gear. You letting the guys go home early, but we still got shit to do.
Yep.
You letting the guys go home early, and we not even firing on all cylinders.
No, I'm right there with you.
We
had when I was in 3-6. It's funny you say it. I don't know if I said this in the last episode. I don't think I did. But when I was in 3-6, I did the 24th MU with them. Mm-hmm. We did the 24th MU, so that was a serial deployment, and then we did the UDP after that. So we spent some time in Fuji, which was cool, whatever. But we had one of my biggest mentors, Matt Black. He's out now, but when he was with 3-6 India Company, he was a gunny for a short amount of time. Or no, he was our company gunny, and then he ended up becoming the first sergeant, getting out, whatever. But he brought in all the NCOs one day, and he was an absolute lunatic. So he was in like the initial Marshall push with 1st Battalion 6th Marines.
Oh God!
And he was the guy, but he like smart, physically fit. Like he was a Marine, but an absolute, he will light you up in a second. Which I loved him for. He's cool. Like we still talk to this day. But anyways, he had brought all the NCOs in one day, and he had said the exact same thing that you said, where it's like talking about like preparedness or whatever. He was like, hey, I noticed like you guys are trying to get out here early, or you're trying to like do these things, but understand like when we talk troop welfare doesn't mean that like, hey, I'm gonna get you guys out of here at 1400. Troop welfare means like we're gonna leave, we're gonna get off work when you can, disassemble, reassemble a machine gun, or when you can brief 5-paragraph order and not jack it up in a million times, or when you can do you can perform radio etiquette, whatever the thing may be, troubleshoot your comm, whatever. That's when we can start going home. And we're kind of looking at him like, it kind of made sense to me immediately, but I'm like, that's perfect. It makes perfect sense. Because most people equate troop welfare like, hey, we're going to show up at 8, we're going to leave at 14. And in some cases, that's good to go, right? But the way he painted the picture was like, no, we're not leaving until like the mission is accomplished. And then that's what it is. But that wasn't like we were staying until 2000, 2200. It was just, he was just trying to tell the leadership like, hey, mission comes first, Marines, all the things, but not to get it confused with liberty, or not to get it confused with, hey, we're trying to go to Tokyo or whatever the thing is at the time, because that's where we were. And he had a good way of doing it, and he was also really good at like telling Marines, like educating us on attention to details. So like how I do one thing is how I do everything. If I can't police call correctly, I'm probably gonna miss something else. Little things like that, dude. It was beautiful.
To go back to what we had previously talked about in the very beginning, it really makes me think of nowadays people want to train for the Super Bowl when they know that they're going to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
You're supposed to train for the Super Bowl whether you know or not you're going to the Super Bowl. You feel me? And when you switch, come on, you hear where I'm going. You see where I'm going.
Yeah,
you see where I'm going.
Yeah.
And in our demographic, in our profession, we're not training because we're at war. We're training we're training just in case we go to war. All right. That war may be 10 years from now, but we have been training for that particular moment. Imagine fucking goddamn something happens and now all of a sudden, we need to be combat ready. Now all of a sudden, we need to get our heads out of our asses and actually start leading Marines. I remember pulling my guys off to the side and I told them, I said, look, man, I'm hard on y'all right now, man, because if I die right now, who the fuck is going to take over? You feel me? Like if I'm hard on y'all right now, because if I die, because you got to think about it. If we went to an austere environment, we on a patrol, and me as a maintainer, we fixing gear. I fucking die. Who's next? Who's the person that's supposed to pick it up and go after that? That's why I'm training y'all. If you look at it from a garrison perspective, I don't know what a meritorious board is. You know how word work? They like to tell us last minute. I might find out that it's a meritorious corporal board, meritorious sergeant board, meritorious staff sergeant board the same time that you find out. And that's when we're supposed to prepare for it? No, I should have been setting you up this entire time. So that way, all I have to do, here's this package. Here's this package, guys. I already know that he about to rock out. I already know that he about to take care of it. You get where I'm going?
I'm with you. It's funny you bring a Super Bowl because I know a funny story. So I think since we last talked, so I've been pretty much once a month I travel and I do these inspections, similar to like everyone knows, or at least Marines, Army probably. Every service probably has something similar, but CGIP is what Marine Corps knows, or IGMC. So once a month we go to these inspections. And our office does MCMAP, FFI, PFT, CFT, swim qual, all the things. And we get briefed in. So every time we go, for example, we just got back from Pendleton. But every time we get briefed in, it's like, hey guys, we're here to do these things. And our leadership will kind of brief it, which I like. He's like, hey, this is, your guys' Super Bowl, right? So you've been prepping this entire time and you're getting ready for this inspection, blah, 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 right? And I'm like, oh, yeah, I like the way he's like putting a spin on it. Like, hey, this is game time.
Hell yeah.
Even though most units, when it comes to an inspection, they're going to wait till about 2 weeks prior. And they're like, oh shit, we got an inspection in 2 weeks. Let's figure this out. We all know how that goes. So like I said, mine is MCMAP and FFI, but I'll kind of also like kind of spot check with PFT, CFT. So we go out there for the PFT, not this passing. This is just kind of the common trend that I've seen. And I'm like, all right, I get where he's saying, this will be the Super Bowl. So I'm kind of like trying to look at it through this lens. And the first thing before you start a PFT or CFT is you brief the order, right? You make all your Marines, you do the roll call. Hey, who's got their PHAs? Who's on light duty? All of a sudden, all these 30 Marines are on light duty. Hey, we're tracking how this works. But then I started like looking at the Marine briefing it, and in most times I can understand like this looks like the first time he's ever briefed a PFT order or the CFT order. It's the same order, right? But
verbatim,
different sections. Yeah. And I'm like, why? If I was getting inspected, if I knew this was like game time, right? We're getting inspected. I'm like, why would I put this Marine up there in front of all these other Marines to brief this thing? And I can see it. You can immediately spot it a mile away. The funny thing is the MEIT comes up to me. He's like, hey, Gunny, how do you think we're doing? This is a few inspections ago. He's like, how do you think we're doing on this inspection for PFT? I'm like, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to be honest with you. Hey, and I don't sugarcoat nothing. Anyone that's ever known me or worked with me, they are tracking. I'm like, hey, man, I'm going to be honest with you. I can usually tell when the first 20 minutes of you guys doing a PFT or CFT how bad this is going to be. And by the way that man just briefed this order, him stuttering over his words, not knowing how to say things and demo things, it ain't looking good, brother. He's like, it ain't looking good. Most times, it ain't looking good. I'm like, bro, like, why are we not preparing for something as small as an inspection? Why are we treating that any different than how we're prepping for combat? Then, obviously, you're going to get the people that's like, well, you know, an inspection isn't combat, and you know, we're whatever. But it just kind of made me think of when you talk Super Bowl. I'm like, usually those inspections that I've been doing, they only come up once in a while. And the amount of times I've seen it, bro, they just punt it right in the stands.
And it goes back to even that moment where that piece right there, what you're saying, that goes back to me training with Connor. When me and Connor first started training together, bro, I looked him dead in the face and was like, bro, I don't know if you're going to be a professional boxer. I don't even know if this is something that we will be doing 10 years from now. You feel me? But I do know that at some point you are going to be put in a situation where a kid going to tell you to shut the fuck up before you make them mad. And if I don't train you right now, you going to shut the fuck up so you don't make him mad.
Yeah.
If I don't train you right now, if you think about when me and you would be sparring in the mat room, you see what I'm saying? Me and you weren't kicking this a week, 2 weeks, a month before one tack, two tack. This is happening. This is an everyday thing for us.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? The courses just so happen to flow as we're still training, and even as there's courses on deck, me and you are still showing up. You know what I mean? Like, we're still showing up. And it comes back to that one moment that I just said. It's either you're going to prepare, you have to prepare for the Super Bowl, whether you know that you're going to the Super Bowl or not. You cannot be preparing for the Super Bowl when you find out that you are going to the Super Bowl. By that point, it's already too fucking late. It's already too late. You're not going to be prepared.
Dude, how much more time we got?
Oh, we still got 2 more minutes. Yes.
What did you think about because the last time is kind of related, kind of not related, but since the last time we talked, they had that situation where Secretary of Defense blasted or Secretary of War now blasted all the generals about height and weight. What did you think about that?
It's another day in office. It's another day in the office.
Hey, dude.
He said that they need a combat. He said they need a fitness test twice a year. We need to be within height and weight standards.
Yeah.
He don't want no fat senior enlisted.
Bro.
Hey, that's another day in the Marine Corps. That's another day in the Marine Corps.
Hey, when I seen that, and I was like, because I think it was actually live. Like, I think that I can't remember what day that was, but I was home, so we pulled it up on YouTube, or whatever. And this is right around the corner from me. Like, they had shut down all Quantico or whatever.
Oh yeah,
and I started watching it.
You were there, yeah.
Yeah, they had shut down all of Quantico. They were like, hey, you can't go on this side of the base. We were like, whatever. Telework. Like I said earlier, telework, coach for you ain't doing nothing. And I was watching it, and I'm like, I agree with everything he's saying. But what's funny is, like, when that came out, all these comments started flowing like, oh, that could have been an email, and he could have just whatever. And I'm like, do you not think that he knows that could have been an email?
100%.
But at the same time, if I'm a platoon sergeant and I was about to chew my leaders out, do you think I would send them a text?
No.
No, I'm bringing all them fools in. Into the
I
quad,
can't tell
the
you how many times
grinder.
we done done that. I can't tell you. Hey, let me see all. Hey, let me see all the section heads.
Yeah, let me see it. Yeah, first time. Hey, let me see the platoon sergeants.
Mm-hmm.
Just so I can see everyone's face, just to let them know how crystal clear I want this to be. And I'm like, as he's spitting this off, I'm like, oh hell yeah, brother, let's go, let's go. But yeah, for the Marine Corps, it didn't change, not really institutionally changing much. But I'm like, I'm right there with him.
I think one of the biggest things that really stood out with me about that entire situation is the ones that were truly bothered by were already out of standards. 100%. You were already out of you were out of standard. 100%. You feel me? Yeah. And that's why that bothered you. You feel me?
Yep.
But to be honest, and this goes back to this really goes back to that time where you were briefing us on a drill. You were briefing us on a drill. You were and when you were briefing, we had a guy, he kept like interrupting, asking questions and everything like that. And then I finally was like this, hey man, he not talking to you. He is not talking to you. I promise you that.
Oh, you know what you're talking about. Yeah.
And I had to, because he kept interrupting, and I looked over and I was like, he's not talking to you. All right. This is not your lane. All right. In fact, go set the gear up.
Yep.
And it goes back to the piece of, even if he would have brought everybody in, think about how many times we done got our asses chewed or like been in a group ass chew. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
If it don't apply, they say it right when they start. Hey, if this don't apply, let it go.
Let it go.
I'm standing there just like this. Hey, that don't apply to me. Hey,
know it.
It's good to go, but I'm already good. So when I was listening to it, I remember talking to my neighbor and he was just like, yeah, that just sucks, man, because now we got to start. I was like, bro, that's what I do every single day. You know what I mean? Like that's my normal. All right. You're now adapting my normal, but it really goes back to this right here. And it comes down to, we sit back and we'll talk about holding a standard. We'll sit back and we'll talk about striving for excellence and talking about discipline. But the moment that gets thrown in our face and it says like, hey, I want you to do better, why is it so hard to do it then?
Yeah. Obviously it's going to boil back to accountability, but it's always going to start with like the senior leader. If you're not accountable, your Marines are going to be accountable. Now that just creates this whole atmosphere of toxicity and all this other thing. But it starts with the leadership, which goes back to the point that I was mentioning a second ago, where it's like humans are naturally lazy. We all are to some degree. So it's way easier for me to like text all my squad leaders or my platoon sergeants or my first sergeant and be like, hey, make sure, hey, roger up when you're accountable, roger up for this, or do all this stuff through a phone. It's a lot harder for me to wake up an hour, 2 hours earlier, get my platoon, get my companies, and be like, hey, platoon sergeant, bring it in. Or for whatever the case may be. It's a lot harder. It's a lot more uncomfortable. So naturally, we don't want to do it. But when it's done, you get to show face, you get to see the Marines or your people. If you're outside of the Marine Corps, you're an entrepreneur, you have a business or whatever. But as cliche as it sounds, it always starts with you, whether it's the Marine or it's the leader or the parent or the mom or the dad or the uncle, aunt, grandparent. It always starts with whoever that person is, that focal point. That is the institutional leadership for that little team of people.
It's crazy that we always find ourselves back in accountability. You know what I mean? We always find ourselves back in accountability. And as we spent that time talking about just parenthood and fatherhood in general, and the relationship that we establish, let me rephrase that, the standard that we establish with our children or for our children, it comes back to accountability. If you don't want the world to hold your child accountable, then you need to hold them accountable now. You feel me? And that accountability don't mean yelling at them and stuff. It just means holding them to the standard. That's all it really means, But when you switch gears over into a martial culture or just into a military perspective, to be honest, when you switch gears and just put it into a life perspective, if you don't want somebody else to hold you accountable, then you need to hold yourself accountable. It shouldn't take the Secretary of War to call y'all fat. All right. He just calling what the fuck he see. You see what I'm saying? That, swear to God. You know what I mean? He if it walked like a duck, quack like a duck, it looked like a duck. All right.
Probably a duck.
Standards shouldn't have even got brought into question. That means the standards have dropped.
Yep.
It should never have to be that. I should never have to go to a Marine and be like, this, hey man, like what the fuck going on with you? That's the conversation you should have already had with yourself. That's the conversation you should have already had with yourself. I live by that mentality. I'm so worried about being held accountable that I will hold myself accountable. I'm immediately just going to hold myself accountable. Because if I don't, I give that ability to somebody else. And now they're pulling me off to the side, getting in my ass about it. You know what I mean? About something that I know for a fact that I should have fixed, that I completely ignored.
Yeah. I'll say this. The next thing I'm going to say, there's so many Marines, senior leaders that are going to disagree with this. But the age-old saying to where it's like, every Marine is your Marine, so you make that correction. I get it. I will totally make a correction. But that feels like it was a cop-out years ago, but because leaders didn't make corrections because they were scared to make corrections. What I mean by that is, if I have a platoon of Marines or a squad, fire team, whatever, and I'm scared to make the correction, like, it's not that big of a deal. Like, hey, low boob blouses, no haircut, whatever. That started being a thing because now they're enforcing all these other, that's your Marine too. Like, no, hey, my Marines are the Marines that I put on the morning report and that I report that are accountable. Jones that I just seen at the PX that is clearly out of height and weight standards, that ain't my Marine. I'll make the correction, sure, but where the fuck is his leadership at? You see what I'm saying?
Don't get me started on that one. That one.
Like I've always said that, and dude, I can't tell you how many first sergeants have disagreed with me, and I love them to death. I've had some of the best first sergeants, and they were telling me, stats are not like every Marine's your Marine. I'm like, I'm not like, no, I don't agree with that. Whether I'm right or wrong, it is what it is. But I'm like, the Marines that I report up on MOL morning report, those are my Marines. You won't have any issues out of those guys. Oof, and if you do have an issue with them, then I'll fix that. However I see fit.
Yes, sir.
But Williams at the PX that is walking in deserts when he should have been, whatever the case maybe is. Hey, that's not my devil.
That was my guy.
Yeah, that was Thickpen's guy.
Mm-hmm. And even right there, somebody may hear that and think like, oh, well, you're not taking responsibility. No. Because yes, every Marine is I'm not Gunner Sergeant of First Squad. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. I'm Gunner Sergeant of Marines. But at the exact same time, when we talk about small unit leadership, you feel me? When we talk about fire team leaders, when we talk about squad leaders, when we talk about section heads, when we talk about just anybody in particular, you are in charge of those guys. Those guys are a direct reflection of you. Yeah. They're not a direct reflection of me. You see what I'm saying? They're not a direct reflection. I'm not even in their atmosphere. I'm just a comet that just so happened to come by and have to make this correction. Yeah. But that's something that you should have been doing. And it goes all the way back to the time when we were talking about preparing them. If I don't prepare you, you going to come across somebody like me who is going to find out how unprepared you really were. We're going to find out what standards you truly were in. You feel me? And now you as the leader are embarrassed because we get to see what the reflection of you actually looks like. You feel me? Yeah. If you want to find out how you really are as a leader, see your Marine out in the wild while you ain't there. See him 100%. Out in the wild when you ain't there. You see what I'm saying? And now we about to find out everything about you as a leader. And it's going to show. And that's the piece right there.
Yeah, no, I agree. I don't want to get that last bit I said. I don't want that to get misconstrued. Like I don't make corrections because I don't love making corrections because in a perfect world you wouldn't have to make corrections. But obviously accountability is a real thing, and I do make them. But I have always said where it's like if every senior leader just made sure their Marines did the right thing, I wouldn't have to rely on Thickpen to correct my Marine at the PX. You see what I'm saying? Like you would just correct your Marine before they left the quad or whatever. And it was a good point that you brought up to where it's like you are a direct reflection. And that even made me more pissed when I was a platoon sergeant, that if something got brought to my attention, like, hey, who's your platoon sergeant? Oh, Staff Sergeant Schaeffer is. Immediately they're going to come to me and be like, hey, why was Jones doing whatever? Now I'm really irritated because now you just made the whole platoon look bad. You made the squad look bad, your fire team leader, your squad leader look bad. And now obviously there's going to be second, third order, fourth order effects. But which goes right concurrently into your family, right? Like my daughters understand, and my son will soon understand that your last name means something, right?
Come on
As
now.
when they see, Schaeffer or this kid or whatever just made a beer honor roll, they just did all these things. We're all on the same team. They don't see Lex Schaeffer; they see Schaeffer as a last name, as a totality. Which now they know the importance of that. Stress it all the time. Like it's not just you. Like you represent your sister. Your sister represents you. You represent your mother. Your mother represents me. We're a fire team, if you will. So you have to act accordingly.
Dude, like, and I think that's the piece right there, man. It comes from a level of just extreme ownership as a leader. You feel me? It's somebody right now that'll probably listen to this episode and think like, oh, well, they just don't want to make corrections for Marines. No, I want you to make fucking corrections for your Marines. You feel me? Because your Marines are a direct reflection of you. Do your job. That's it.
Yeah.
Do your job. It ain't even like, just do your job. You feel me? You don't get to pick and choose when you want to be a leader. You want to be a leader when it look good. If your Marine fucking getting awarded, all of a sudden you like this. Hell yeah, that's my Marine. Are you going to be able to say that exact same thing when your Marine getting his ass chewed for fucking up over something that you should have taught him? Like,
I'm right there with you. It almost makes me want to like not like as I'm making corrections whenever I do. It's like, hey, who's your platoon sergeant? Who's your?
I used to do that all the time.
I did a lot when I was a platoon sergeant and a squad leader. I just haven't really been in a position to do it recently, but now it's like you're making both of them look like ass because it's like, one, I found you jacked up. Two, you didn't fix it. And then three, that kind of shows me there's probably a direct, correlation between him and you or her and you or whatever.
I'll never forget when I got promoted to sergeant, I was chewing a PFC's ass out and fucking my staff sergeant didn't even pull me off to the side. He said it while I was mid ass chewing. He said, damn, Thickman, you still chewing PFC's out? Where's this fire team leader? And when he said that, bing, the light bulb clicked. That was, he just leveled me up. Hey, he just leveled me up. You feel me? And even in that moment right there, somebody would have heard that and got offended. No. He's letting me know, hey, there's another person that you need to be holding, somebody else you need to be talking to.
Yeah.
And I was like this, you're right. Why am I talking to you? Hey, do me a favor, go get your fire team leader. Because he's the one that actually was directly responsible for you. And he needs to hear this.
That's a great point because I have seen videos. I haven't personally been, I guess, victim of it or whatever. But at the PX, I can't remember if it was Pendleton or Lejeune, but they're doing this thing now to where it's like, if you don't come in the right civilian attire, they kick you out or whatever, which I don't necessarily disagree with. I'm like, hey man, wear the right shit and you won't get kicked out of the PX. But it almost makes me think like they should have a roster. Like as you come in, like if you're if you're wearing the wrong shit, it's like, all right, man, let me get your name, bro. Let me get your name. All right, who's your sergeant major? Tight battalion commander. Now, obviously, there's an issue. They might just put some bullcrap on there, right? But somehow figure out who the leadership is, and then hold them accountable before you hold them, because some of these Marines might not even know. I would say probably 75% probably do, maybe 50% probably do, but there might be a big portion of them that just like, hey man, I had no idea.
No,
but now it's like, now let's hold the leadership accountable. That might be a stretch, but I just thought it was funny where it's like these kids are getting kicked out of the PX, which the ownership could be on two different sides, but the leadership is definitely a portion of it.
Me personally, I'm a firm believer that you don't get to pick and choose when you want to be a leader. You know what I mean? Like, because it's the burden of leadership. I remember when we worked at the Mace and I would take a call and they wouldn't like what I said. You feel me? They wouldn't like what I said. And they was like this, hey, is the chief right? Can I speak to the chief? And I'd be like this, he's actually standing right here. Give me 1 second. You know what I mean? Hello. But also because I understand the burden of leadership, I will always make sure that I would ensure my T's are crossed and my I's are dotted. So that way, when you come in, you're not blindsided. You're not blindsided by anything that I've said or did. You know what I mean? Like I'm also able to give you a back brief. And that always goes back into the idea of just subordinateship. You see what I'm saying? I hope I said that right, followership.
Yeah.
We beat the leader down, but at the exact same time, you also got to know that as a follower, you are eventually going to be put into a leadership position.
Yeah.
And I remember being a junior Marine and saying to myself, like, I don't want to make my fire team leader look bad. I don't want to make my section head look bad. You feel me? That would carry on even into the mace, because think about our performance. Bro, we not about to go out there and get our asses beat, because we know that we don't just represent ourselves, we represent the entire mace. You feel me? And we know that we can't go out there and just get dragged around, because now I'm going to make you look bad. I can't be doing whatever I want, because I know that I'm not the only one that's going to, I represent something a lot bigger than me, you know? And I think that's something that a lot of people have to understand is that you represent something outside of yourself. You don't just represent your family name. You don't represent your organization. You also represent your leader. You feel me? And just like what you said, the guy, your leadership probably don't know what the fuck you doing, but you do. And you know what you're doing is right, and you know what you're doing is wrong.
Dude, we had when I was in 3-6 Indy company, same unit that I mentioned earlier when we had the company Gunny Black. We had a first sergeant Payne, absolute legend. Everyone loved this dude, and I can't remember what we did, but he was pissed at us, super mad at us. He brings all the NCOs in. He's chewing our ass, good ass chewing. Definitely, we rated it as the NCO Corps. We're obviously all of us parade rest, getting our ass chewed, and
as
he told us one time, as we should. And he's telling us, he's like, your Marines should fear you. Like, they should be absolutely scared of you. And we're like, what? We're like, where's he going? Is he going in this avenue of, like, we should beat him up? And he was like, and I know some of you are thinking, like, I'm telling you to, like, put your hands on Marines, and that's not what I'm saying at all. They should fear you because they should be scared of letting you down, because you're their leader and you're their mentor. And all of us, I remember at the time, I was like, oh, my heart just sank. And I just started thinking, I was like, dude, I've been screwing everything up this entire time. And he was like, they should fear you because they're scared of letting you down. I was like, oh, it was like a dagger. Like, oh man, it was good. It was good. And ever since that was one of those moments that changed my leadership.
Do you remember when Dungan kicked me in the nuts?
Yeah.
Did you hear the dialogue that I was saying to Dylan? Did you hear what I was talking to Dylan about? Did you know that I was apologizing?
Nuh-uh. Oh, no.
I got Duncan, to put it in context, Duncan just kicked me in the nuts. I just went down. You see what I'm saying? I just went down. I'm apologizing to Dylan, our coach, for embarrassing the senior staff.
Meanwhile, I'm over there laughing. I'm laughing my ass off.
I am in the pain I am in right now. You see what I'm saying? The pain that I'm in, I still get shadow pains because of that. I still get like a shadow pain. And but to really put into perspective of what you're talking about, I felt like I embarrassed you. I felt like I embarrassed Dylan. I felt like I had embarrassed all of the senior staff, because I felt like I could have prevented that. I felt like I could have blocked that. I feel like there were so many things that I felt like I did wrong. And in my head, I felt like Duncan had hands me out. That was the equivalent to him handsing me out. But and I was, and you can ask, I swear to God, you could ask Dylan. I was apologizing. And Dylan had to calm me down and tell me, he was like, dude, he was like, it just happened. You know what I mean? Like, you're good. Yeah. You're good. I felt so bad, bro. But that goes back into just that whole perspective of when you are in that follower position, you really only got two things that you have to worry about, right? Follow your orders, bro, and don't let your leadership down. You feel me? It's so simple. You know, all you got to do is just follow them and don't let the guys down, you know? And then when you go into a leadership position, don't let your guys down and take care of them. That's really it.
Yeah. I think there's also a time to, like, in the military, especially as senior leaders, I don't feel like we talk about this enough or really understand this concept even as a gunny, I know there's a time to lead and a time to follow, right? For example, like if I'm a company gunny or a platoon sergeant, like if I'm briefing an order or if I'm coordinating with adjacent assets or I'm doing all this stuff, right? That's probably my time to lead, right? But if I want, more time on machine guns, or if I want more time on this thing, or in our case at the MAFC, like I know I'm not the best at boxing. I know I'm not the best at wrestling. I'm probably going to take a step back, be a follower, and then understand there are other subject matter experts that are going to teach me, and then I need to be able to put my ego aside, receive the information, and then try to get better at it. But I feel like a lot of leaders don't understand, like, they just think I'm a leader 24/7. It's like, that's not the case. Like, there are definitely times to be a leader and definitely times to be a follower, and then it's up to you to figure out that balance, which 100%. Also goes into, I feel like, being a parent. Like, there's times where, like, the wife's going to lead in her area, probably, in the home and stuff. There's times where the husband's going to lead in the home, and they're probably, like, in and out or out and in as far as Big Blue Arrow stuff. So definitely important stuff.
I would even go as far as even shit, bro, like being able to ask whether that's as a parent, whether that's as a leader, being able to ask your subordinate, your junior, your kid, hey, am I doing this right? Yeah. You feel me? Am I doing this? Hey, am I doing this right? hey, now you know what I mean? Like, granted, Connor ain't telling me what time I need to go to bed, but I will pull Connor off and be like this, hey, is there something that you want to see more of, bro? You feel me? Because at the end of the day, I'm all you got. And I don't want to be steering you down the wrong path if you think that I could be, doing this, if there's something else that I'm missing. You know what I mean? And even when I talk to their mother, like, I switch gears and I ask, like, hey, man, like, you're going to have to take this because I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. You know? And be honest with it. And then even at work, bro, you feel me? I can tell you right now, at work, bro, it's me, a gunny, and a sergeant. The sergeant know more than me. More than me. As a gunnery sergeant with 16 years, the sergeant knows more because he's been doing the job more. When there's a situation that I'm not familiar with, I'm going to ask. Because if I don't, I'm going to fuck it up and I'm going to make it worse. And then hide behind, well, I'm a gunnery sergeant. No, bro, like, in order to get proficient at it, you have to be able to bounce between a leadership role and a followership role, man. Switch gears, go back into the Mace. Morales, that he had been doing grappling since he was in single digits. Mm-hmm. I just found out about this 3 years ago. His ears hadn't been stocked in the majority of his life. Mine just started deforming. Of course, I'm going to ask him.
That's like when you brought up the kids, and I'm like, leader, follower. Is this how we're supposed to be doing this? That's like when the kids come home with homework, and I see my wife's in there, and she's like, this is probably, what's today? This is probably actually last Wednesday, and she's like, hey, Lex, can you hop in here with Callie to work on some math while she had to go do some other stuff? I'm like, yeah, sure. And I look at this paper, and it's like the math that they're doing now is like, you're going to get the same result, right? But it's a whole different sequence of events before you get the number that you want, right? Versus what we did. And I'm looking at this shit, and I'm like, am I like not tracking what's going on here? And I'm looking at it, and I look at her, and I look at her, I'm like, Callie, what the hell are we supposed to be doing here? And now she's looking at me like, you're supposed to know this. And I'm like, I thought you were supposed to know this. So it's like this whole like event to where it's like you said, man, going back to those moments to where being comfortable with, hey man, I don't know all the answers. You don't know the answers. So at this point, we got to figure this shit out together.
Did I ever tell you that I helped Coda with a assignment and we both failed it?
Oh, that's rough.
I helped Coda with an assignment and we both failed. And what made it worse, Shave, what made it worse, it was a Black History assignment. So Coda come home. It was last year in February. They had like Black History Month. Now, mind you, I went to an Afrocentric school from 5th to 8th grade. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. Also, I probably am a subject matter expert in this because I'm Black. You know what I mean? So Coda comes in, she brings this assignment. I said, oh, I know this. I don't even look at the material. I'm like, give me the question. And I'm like, yeah, that's how it went. And then she told me, she was like, well, in the book, it says this. I said, look, man, like, I got this under control. And the mom, or like her mother came in and was trying to explain it to me. We wrote it and everything like that. And sure enough, Dang on, she went to school the next day and it did not, she failed it. Failed it. I was wrong.
Yikes.
I was wrong. And I had to eat that. I had to apologize to Coda. I was like, my bad. And I looked at it and I was like, how the hell did I forget that? But it was one of those moments where it was like, if I would have just met her where she was at, we could have both realized that. But with that being said, man, as we come to a close to this episode, because we've been here for a good minute, but as we come to a close to this episode, what is one thing that you want to leave the audience with?
If I had one thing to leave the audience with, it'd probably be our second and third point, whichever it was, whereas leadership relates directly to not only being a parent or uncle, aunt, whatever, but it also relates to being a leader of service members, whether that's Marines, soldiers, whatever. That's not to say we're being soft on them, whatever, but understanding that this is someone's kid, this is someone's nephew, this is someone's niece, and our nation depends on us to train them tough, realistically, because we hold we are responsible for these kids as young service members. So I think it's gotten misconstrued over the years, in my opinion, to where it's like that means we be soft. I think it's completely the opposite. Like tough, realistic training, also being empathetic, taking care of Marines, holding them accountable, because that's also been misconstrued. We've talked about that, but I think that's what I'd like to leave the audience with.
100%, man. But just like that, another extraordinary thought left this ordinary mind. I hope you enjoyed this episode half as much as I enjoyed making it. Don't forget to head on over to your favorite streaming platform and leave this podcast an honest review.